Welcome to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. This is Brad Ovens alongside Clint Miller. Clint, how we doing?
We're cold, Brad. We're
cold. We are cold. And this is the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. We are presented by motorsportsnutrition.com, horsepower360.com, and also brought to you weekly by Penyan Electronics in downtown Penyan, Creekside Entertainment, your official DJ and karaoke provider of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast, as well as Race Chaser Online and Speed 77 Radio. So, Clint, it's been an interesting week. 2014's not really started off the way that we really would like things to kick off, but unfortunately, we do here at the Turn 5 Racing Podcast, we want to send out our thoughts and prayers to the Rauscher family for the loss of their son Corey in the tragic snowmobiling accident in Wayne County this year.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's probably the first of a few this year, and whatever reason things happen, it's too bad.
It is. Corey was the son of Dave Rauscher,
the Big Show,
and he also was a good friend and a crewman for Matt Shepard. And he's certainly going to be missed here in the racing community.
Yeah, it's just words can't really describe how sad it is and the loss, and obviously we all of our thoughts go to the family.
Absolutely, all of our condolences from the Turn 5 Racing Podcast and our Turn 5 fans. Send our thoughts and prayers again to the Rauscher family. And now we'll kick it over to the Australian World Series Sprint Car Tour. And, hey, Clint, guess who won again?
Did Donnie Schatz?
Donnie Schatz.
Wow, I got it right. Yes, go me.
Donnie Schatz won a sprint car race.
Wow, it's at 5 or 6 over there already this year?
It is, and not to say anything down about the guy. I mean, he's obviously one of the best sprint car racers in our nation right now. But it seems like he's having a lot of success in the Australian series versus the American series. Struggled a little bit in the 2013 campaign. Didn't have quite the year.
Well,
but
he won 20 features. I mean, plus, so I think
by no means am I calling Donnie Schatz a slouch, but
he's a slug. Come on,
he's on a hot streak right now, being down in Australia. And of course, a lot of the World of Outlaw guys are down in Australia right now. And
now, are they driving cars that are prepared over there? I'm guessing, because it would cost a lot of money to take their own equipment over there. Or how does that work?
That I'm not 100% certain, but I would have to imagine. I know. The F1 series, when they go across seas, they have races across seas. They have to load the cars into shipping containers, ship the container across to the country, pack all of the parts, all of the tools they need. So I'm going to have to imagine they have different maybe the same car owners, but they have different equipment that they use while they're in Australia. But, that's actually a good point. Maybe we can find out, Turn 5 Racing Podcast on Facebook. If anybody wants to share or throw that out there, we're always willing to take some comments from our fans.
Yeah, if anybody does know the answer to that, you're more than welcome to put it on our Turn 5 Facebook page. If you want to send your well wishes to the Rauscher family, put it on our Facebook page. We're getting out there, and we're getting popular, and it's a good thing to do.
And other news, Alan Bestwick moves to ABC ESPN IndyCar coverage after the NASCAR contract ends at the end of the 2014 season. And I don't know about you, Clint, but I don't know if I'd say that it's going to hurt NASCAR, but he's certainly a voice of NASCAR that I've,
years.
You hear that name, and it's very distinct. You hear that voice, and
and
you know that voice.
That's right. And he started out, I think, on PRN, a lot of radio coverage, and he boomed into the television industry. But I think this, he works for ESPN, right, for the NASCAR coverage.
Yes.
And I think that in 2015, most of the coverage is going to be on NBC, I guess.
Yes. The NASCAR ESPN coverage is
pretty much defunct. I mean,
it is on the way out. ESPN won't be with NASCAR. I don't know if it's after the end of this season or if it was the end of last season, but ESPN and NASCAR will be parting ways. So I believe that may be a reason why. But either way, it's really going to be it's really going to affect the it's not going to be the same watching a NASCAR race without having Alan Bestwick. He brings that character to the show.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right, Steven.
Or
Brad, B-Rad, sorry.
So he'll be moving over to the IndyCar coverage, which I think he even does on the side with NASCAR. He does some Indy coverage now.
Maybe some pit reporting.
I think he's going to go full-time with the IndyCar come the 2015 season. In other news, no real schedule announcements coming out locally here. Still haven't heard anything from the Black Rock Speedways. I don't believe we have anything on the Woodhull Speedway yet. No,
they just had a rules meeting, I think, this last weekend.
Yep.
I haven't been on Race New York to update myself on that yet. ESS did come out with a big announcement.
Yes, they did.
It turns out that the Speed Weeks for the ESS will be running, or is back, I should say, starting July 2nd at Brewerton, July 3rd, Rolling Wheels Raceway Park in conjunction with the Super Dirt Car Series. Friday, they will be spending the Independence Day at the Can-Am Motorsports Park. And then Saturday, where are they going Saturday?
July 5th, they're going to be rolling into the Fulton Speedway. Always looking for an interesting race out of Fulton. A lot of good action, a lot of good passing. A really good track for some sprint car racing. And then, of course, Sunday they're going to wrap up their 5-day Speed Week tour at the Utica Rome Speedway. So I imagine there's probably going to be, don't quote me, but there'll probably be fireworks displays at all five of these shows.
Yep.
So I definitely think it's going to be something. There's a little bit of something everywhere that, if you can get out to it. The Empire Super Sprint's putting on a really great show. All the tracks that they race at is always entertaining. Really cool that they're bringing the Speed Week back. I think it's really fun to have the local guys be able to put in the spotlight.
It's nerve-wracking. Well, it's nerve-wracking for them, though.
And also, ESS Empire Super Sprints will make a debut appearance at the Thunder Mountain Speedway as a part of the Brett Dale promotion on Saturday, August 30th. And Sunday of that weekend is the Cole Cup tune-up with the Cole Cup $10,000 to win 360 sprint car race the following weekend at the Utica Rome Speedway. So there's definitely a lot of big money shows, a lot of excitement coming out of the Empire Super Sprint camp this year.
That's true. And does it not seem like every time we open the show we have some kind of promotion from Brett Dale that we talk about?
Brett Deo's on his stuff, and he's got it going, and I think, obviously, I don't think one person is going to be the cure for the local racing scene and getting back to what local racing used to be, how it used to be, but, if there's going to be one person to make a big dent in it, Brett Deo, you probably can't see me because we're on what we call radio, but I'm standing and saluting to you, sir. It's just incredible what he's doing and the amount of work that he's doing, helping promote, running racetracks. He's just incredible what this man is doing.
If it's got four wheels, he's got his foot in it.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's got four wheels, and it's got to go fast.
That's right.
It's got to go fast.
Yep.
But as we can tell, Clint and I, we're missing one of our turkeys, as he likes to call himself. I don't know what he's talking about us. I'm not a turkey, but we're missing the head turkey. Steven is actually out of the shop, out of the Casa de Pork Chop Studios, as he likes
out of
to
the
call
chop.
Yep. Currently, as of earlier, he was sitting on the tarmac at the Detroit airport. He's heading out back to Montana, so I'm not quite sure how long he's going to be out for, but nonetheless to say he would have been here with us on the show, but unfortunately those airlines don't really accommodate for podcasting mid-flight. So we'll send out our best wishes and a safe flight with all this weather we've been having.
He's been delayed by weather for I think it's been 2 or 3 hours now. It's actually he was supposed to fly out yesterday. Oh, so it's been
the ice storm delayed it. So he's
been
probably
a day.
He's probably been looking 24 to 36 hours in delays.
Wow.
I think every flight yesterday.
God bless him.
Every flight yesterday out of our region was grounded due to the weather. So there's a lot of commotion, a lot of chaoticness. Christy Cottrell put on Facebook, our fine sponsor from Motorsports Nutrition and Horsepower360.com, put on Facebook that we had an Armyman who was in Ohio at one of the airports looking for a place to stay because all the airport hotel was full.
Yeah, and he couldn't get...
it's hard to find a hotel because you've got numerous hundreds and hundreds of people whose flights have been delayed. And, it's really cool to see everybody that's, friends with Christy and everybody on Facebook putting together and, people willing up to, put their credit card number out there, or, have the hotel call them, swipe the credit card over the phone and, give this guy a room to stay in, which was really phenomenal. So... on those terms, one other big announcement that we just heard today, coming out of the NASCAR scene, Chase Elliott, son of infamous driver Bill Elliott, has signed with Junior Motorsports, Dale Earnhardt Junior Motorsports, to drive the number 9 Napa-sponsored nationwide car for the 2014 season. And that is huge.
That's awesome.
News.
That is awesome. I follow Chase Elliott on Twitter, and he's such a talent, and he just turned 18 in November, so he was able to run the nationwide series.
Yep.
Because they got the rule where you have to be 18 to run the series.
Yep.
And to run the number 9 that his father made famous, and Junior is so nostalgic and history wise, he knows the sport, and to put him in a number 9 is just incredible.
Absolutely, and I mean it speaks numbers to have. Somebody, a big corporation like Napa back Chase Elliott coming into his first year. He's brand new into nationwide. This is going to be his rookie year in nationwide, and you've got the backing of the Napa support, which was actually another one that we weren't. Everybody was up in arms. We didn't know. We thought Napa was maybe on the way out. We didn't know if Napa was going to stay in NASCAR. So, it's really good to see, keeping Napa in it. Helping Junior Motorsports out. Of course, Junior Motorsports falling under the Hendrick tent. So I think we've got some, I look forward to some big things coming out of Chase Elliott. This coming year is obviously the Junior Motorsports cars have been proven winners with Regan Smith and, a couple other guys, and of course Dale Jr. So
they got Kevin Harvick now. So he's got Kevin Harvick to learn from.
Yep.
And of course, obviously his dad. And I have to tell you, I'm a little happy that have him in the blue and yellow colors. I'm a little fond of blue and yellow with the years of my dad racing.
Yep.
So to have him in the Napa car is just tops it off. Cherry on the cake.
Absolutely. So, any other big news we can think of?
Sam Hornish just signed to drive 7 races for Joe Gibbs in the 54 Toyota Camry.
The Monster sponsored car.
Yep. Kyle Busch's Monster.
That'll be good. So lots more to talk about on the show tonight. Coming up on the show, we've got the co-promoter of the Dig Safely New York Grit Series for the 602 Crate Sportsman. Rob Hazer is going to be on the show. We're going to talk to him about the Grit Series and what they've got coming up. And
can't wait for that interview. Can't wait.
Absolutely. By the promoting that they've done already, it definitely sounds like it's going to be something that you're not going to want to miss out on. And then we'll speak with Gary Palone, the owner-promoter of the Paradise Speedway, on some upcoming events for his 2014 season at the Paradise Speedway in Geneva, New York. So, when we come back, we'll dive right in with Rob Hazer from the Grit Series.
You're listening to Turn 5.
Motorsportsnutrition.com is Turn 5's official home of race day and recovery supplements. Developed for racers by racers with over 30 years behind the wheel, Motorsportsnutrition.com has the right Advocare supplements to keep you going. On race day, turn to healthy Advocare products trusted by NASCAR, the NCAA, Olympic athletes, and 410 Sprint Car and World of Outlaws driver Ryan Smith. Visit them on the web at www.motorsportsnutrition.com or call Christy at 330-431-9714 and tell them Steve Clint sent you.
Hey Brad, where do you go for your NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, short track, dirt, and World of Outlaws coverage?
I go to racechaseronline.com.
Aren't they also at Speed 77 Radio on live stream?
Yeah, they've got the Motorsports Madness Report on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock and the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Join in on the fun at racechaseronline.com and see them on Facebook. Search Race Chaser Online.
Kick off your holiday shopping now at Radio Shack. You'll find low prices on the latest smartphones, tablets, e-readers, plus a huge selection of must-have accessories. Radio Shack also has big savings on RC toys, batteries, plus stocking stuffers like flash drives and memory cards. And don't miss the great deals on portable Bluetooth speakers, top-name headphones, fitness gear, and more. So get a jump on your holiday shopping and start saving today at Radio Shack at 103 Main Street in beautiful downtown Penn. Welcome back to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. Brad Ovens with you, alongside Clint Miller. We're going to throw into our first interview. We've got the promoter of the Dig Safely New York Grit Racing Series for the 602 Crate Sportsman's, Rob Hazer. Rob, how we doing tonight?
Not bad, fellas, not bad. I'm co-promoter.
Co-promoter,
okay.
I'm competition director / PR director / promoter. I help Nick and Dick promote it, so...
Okay.
They're the founders, Nick and Dick Stark.
All right. Well, thank you for clarifying that. I was just under the assumption that it was only you, but thank you for.
No, not a problem.
Now that's Nick Stark from what is it? Was it Thunder Mountain?
Yeah, Nick and Dick were promoting at Thunder Mountain last year, and they were coming to the end of their term there. And it just wasn't. They wanted to dedicate themselves to one thing or the other. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No,
and
that's.
they chose to dedicate their time to a sportsman racing series, and I had been kind of thinking of a sportsman series on my own as well, and it just kind of developed into a relationship between the three of us. You know, obviously they're father and son, but it developed into a relationship between me and them. And they said, "Well, you know, you have a lot of great ideas. Can you bring them and help us with our series?" And sure, not a problem. You guys already had something that was established and ready to go. We just needed to push the brand a little, I guess you could say.
Yep. Okay. Well,
I guess that I guess that kind of leads into where the first question was going was, how did the Grit Series come about?
Well, I mean, from what I understand, it all started last year. Nick and Dick promoting at Thunder Mountain. They wanted to start a sportsman series that traveled pretty much around, central New York City, maybe a little bit in Pennsylvania, like tracks like Penn Can. And they wanted to get that going while they were still doing their deal at Thunder Mountain. So they put together a series. I believe it went to Can-Am, Glen Ridge, Woodhall, and Thunder Mountain were the 4 tracks that were involved last year. And they started the series, and it had a few followers that followed the whole thing, probably a handful that followed all 6 races they had. They had 2 at Thunder Mountain, 1 at Glen Ridge, 2 at Can-Am, and 1 at Woodhall. And, it seemed like guys were interested in it. There's definitely interest, and a lot of the sportsman guys were, well, what can I run for tires, and what can I run for rims, and, can we do this, and can we do that? And then for the 602 National race that came up at Glen Ridge, there seemed to be a growing interest that I had taken note of. And I had started talking back and forth with Nick and throwing ideas at him, and he would ask me questions and stuff like that, and I would, throw feedback to him. And from there, it just kind of spiraled, like I said, into a relationship between the 3 of us. And at the end of the year, I said, okay, I'll help you, but you got to kind of turn me loose creatively because I'm a creative fella. I think a lot, you know what I mean? I've been around the block, you know what I mean? I've done a lot of different things, and I said, it's going to grow fast. Things are going to come at you in a hurry. You got to be prepared for it. You got to be committed to the long haul. These are things I looked for in both of them before I said I would fully commit myself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And, you know, Dick had said he was getting out of doing Thunder Mountain because he wanted to focus on the Grit Series and grow the Grit Series and have it become, you know, right now there's only 2 series for sportsman drivers. One of them's an open sportsman series, and they do their thing with the ROC, which is a great series that Andy Harpel puts on if you still have open sportsman motors. And then you have your, you know, the dirt car series, which travels a majority up north. So there wasn't anything that's really centrally located for the sportsman guys. You know what I mean? Throughout the central New York State and, you know, capital region areas and, you know, traveling down into Pennsylvania. So there was an opportunity there to create something. And especially with our set of rules that we developed over the course of the winter, it makes it so that it encompasses all the tracks and guys don't have to buy specific stuff to go places, you know.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
They can use their home track 602 crate sportsman rules.
And
absolutely.
That would lead me to my second question for you, is for some of the guys that ran the series last year or some of the guys that are interested in running the series this year, any big changes coming this year as far as rule packages, any big announcements, anything different or anything that they can plan ahead for?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you've got a few hours, we'll talk about all this.
Well, maybe just a brief scenario.
There's a whirlwind of changes that happen all in a quick period of time. The first thing I told them is I'm an organizational guy. You know what I mean? I'm big in organization. Got to have things organized, presentable. You know what I mean? So the first thing we did was I said, we go to all these different racetracks. We have to develop a set of rules that encompass all the tracks do. We don't want to impose on what they do. We don't want to tell them, well, your drivers can't run because they don't match our rules. But we wanted to make sure that the rules kind of, you know, they were open for all its competitors at the different tracks. So the first thing we did was we made sure that we kept the open tire rule that we had from last year. Guys can run American Racer or Hoosier.
Okay.
Any 92-inch modified tire has to be all 4 corners the same manufacturer. You know, you can't mix and match Hoosier and American Racer. If you're running American Racer,
makes sense.
They all got to be the same.
Okay.
Aluminum or steel wheels, we went to a standard weight for each one because there are some dirt guys that run with us, and they run steel wheels. So if you're on aluminum wheels, it's 2450. If you're on steel wheels, it's 2400. Of course, you have the driver that says, and one driver tried this at the Nationals last year, well, I got, you know, 1 steel wheel on my car and 3 aluminum, so I should be able to weigh the steel wheel weight. No, that don't work. You got to weigh the. If you have 1 aluminum wheel on the car, you're going to weigh 2450. You know what I mean? If you got all 4 steel, then you weigh the 2400. The only other thing really is, I mean, everything's pretty much along the lines of dirt car rules. Which, I mean, when you think about it, dirt cars rules have governed our sport for so many years. They really have a good concept and a good base on what you need to have. So you don't really have to vary too far off of that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You just have to change a few things around, like the tires. We're not going to force guys into one set of tires, especially if you go to a track that's an American Racer track.
Yep.
We're going to say, well, you have to buy an American Racer when we're all on Hoosier. It doesn't make sense for sportsman teams, and it's an unnecessary cost.
Yeah.
Same thing with headers. You know what I mean? Some guys, it's still got to be a steel header, 1 5/8 all the way back, but we allow the stainless steel exhaust from the collector back, so the extension pipe, the muffler, and the tip. Henry Stainless Steel Exhaust is a sponsor of ours. We don't really get a horsepower advantage out of that part of the exhaust.
Okay.
So we allow that.
It's just one less things for the teams have to worry about.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I like the exhaust myself because it's stainless steel. I don't know if you guys ever bought an exhaust or race car. I, as a car owner, did. If you buy an exhaust 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years after you washed it and ran it, the muffler's falling apart on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, now I got to go buy another one.
Yeah.
But when you buy one of these stainless steel systems, you know what I mean? It lasts for 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you don't have to have that additional cost. And there's that whole game of, well, it's not legal because we're not getting a monetary kickback. We don't care about that. You know, I don't care. Like headers, somebody said, well, how come you didn't make Schoenfeld headers mandatory like dirt does? Because we're not getting a monetary kickback from them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay.
But we're not going to force you into buying one specific brand of header. As long as it's a steel header, you can run Schoenfeld, Bay. I don't care what you run. So
okay.
It's 1 5/8 pipe from the motor back
yep.
to the collector, you know. So other than that, the rules are all pretty much the same. I mean, the best part, one of the best parts about our series, guys, is we highlight how a racetrack handles a race. We don't come in and tell you how you have to qualify, how you have to run your event. We've had, tracks and promoters like Brett Dio ask me, well, how do you want to qualify them? Is it all right to do a redraw? Yeah, if that's what you want to do, we'll do that.
Yep.
Because we want to highlight how you run the race and how you will run the event. We're not there to run your racetrack for you. We're there because we're bringing a contingency package, lap sponsorship, primary race sponsorship, other things, as well as, including your drivers and a chance to win some money at the end of the year in our point fund, which is looking pretty good. So we want to highlight each track and how they run their own race and how they handle it. Obviously, I'll be there, as a competition director to work with, tech inspectors and how the race is going and stuff for our sportsman race.
Yep. Okay.
Nick will be there. He's going to have a one-sheeter of our PR stuff that we need done, and he's going to work hand-in-hand with the announcers at the tracks. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there is a lot of interaction between the track, but it is still the track that's running the show. You guys are just kind of there helping mold the show to your guys' standard.
I mean, we interact with the track and the promoters a lot, and a lot with the drivers. You know what I mean? But when it comes race day, it's their show. You're there to put on a show. You know what I mean? And we're here to assist you in doing that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But we don't get in your way. You know what I mean? Not that other series do. I'm just saying that's how we operate.
Okay, absolutely. Now, for some of the sportsman guys that are listening tonight, where might be some of the places, if they're interested in the Grit Series, that they could bring their cars out to run with you guys in the Grit Series?
Well, I'll tell you, we have a really good schedule. I'm glad you asked that because some of the tracks we're involved in, it was important for me to get them involved, tracks that I grew up at. I'm from the Capital Region, you know what I mean? So some tracks like Albany, Saratoga, Fonda, Glen Ridge, Utica, Rome, those are all tracks that I grew up going to every week.
Okay.
And happily I can say they're all involved in the Grit Series this year.
Well,
you know
good.
What I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I had a great conversation with Matt DiLorenzo. He's excited about it. Mike Stoll was so excited he wanted 3 races at Glen Ridge, so we got 3 races up there.
Oh, wow.
I actually have a pretty huge race at Albany, Saratoga this year, which is special to me. Not that I don't appreciate everything else, but I'm helping co-promote a race at Albany, Saratoga with Scott Duell in conjunction with Albany, Saratoga, and Lyle, which is, it's going to be a 100-lap race.
Wow.
It's going to be very huge. It's a nationals-type event, you know what I mean? And it's going to bring drivers from all over. It's actually part of our Triple Crown on the Grit Series. There's 3 races out of our races that we rolled into a Triple Crown type series, or not a specific series, I should say, but there's 3 races that are a Triple Crown. They're worth more points. They're worth, instead of being 60 points to win, 57 down by 1 point to last, like the other shows, the Triple Crown races are worth 100 points to win, 97 for second, down by 1 to last. So,
okay.
And then there's going to be a monetary bonus if you can win all 3 of the Triple Crown races.
Oh,
okay.
Great, great.
So, and those races are the Utica Rome race, which is Monday, May 26th. The Albany Saratoga Nationals event, which is going to be Friday, September 12th, tentatively. Right now we're looking at maybe moving that to a Saturday to accompany more teams.
Okay.
And then 5 Mile Point, Saturday, November 1st, which, working with Andrew Harpel, Andy gave us creative freedom on our race, and he's really nice to work with. You know what I mean? He was just a really decent guy.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's got a lot going on this year, and he was happy to work with us, and he gave us some creative freedom with that. So I'll give you guys a scoop here. We just decided that Nick and Dick used to promote a sportsman race called the Slobber Knocker. Okay, they used to do that up at Thunder Mountain.
Okay.
And they have a logo and everything set for it. And I said, geez, that's a fitting title because our last race for the series is going to be a Slobber Knocker for the title. Because I honestly expect there to be 5 to 6 drivers, point-wise, in contention to win the title come the final race. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so we decided to make the final race November 1st at 5 Mile Point, the Slobber Knocker 40.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
And there's some extra money that we're going to develop on the line for that one, and it'll be a bigger paying race. Some of these races pay more too. You know what I mean? Like I know Soul's paying $27.11. He said for the 3 races at Glen Ridge. You know what I mean? Then we also have a race at Penn Can. We have 2 races at Penn Can. We're real excited to go to Canandaigua. You know what I mean? We're excited to go to Orange County to open our season on March 23rd as part of Brett Dio's Hard Clay Open.
Yes.
And we're starting to get a lot of feedback and questions on that. Somebody say, why are they asking questions already? Well, I don't know if you know what time it is, but
yeah, March 23rd.
Right
it's only 2 months away.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, and we're going to I-88 for the Crazy Eights, and there's a race at Can-Am. Chip Burdick is real cool at Can-Am, gives us creative freedom on that race as well. You know what I mean? That's a 50 lapper. The Battle at the Border.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Some of these races we've already locked down primary sponsorships for, which I'm excited about. Torque Racewear LLC is sponsoring the race at Orange County through our lap sponsorship program.
Okay.
The Victoria 30, the Utica Rome race. We kind of adopt the names of the races that they're partnered with, which is pretty cool. You know what I mean? From a marketing aspect, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, like the Hard Clay Open is our Hard Clay 25 in Orange County. That's sponsored by Torque Racewear. The Utica Rome race is a Victoria 30 for us. It's on Monday, May 26th, part of their Victoria 200 weekend. And that's presented by FlagToFlag.com Racing Classifieds. Brian Pornicky and those guys are big supporters of the Grit Racing Series, and then they support the Nationals and stuff like that. So we're excited to have them come on board for that race.
Very good.
And then Canandaigua, we're excited to go to Canandaigua. We actually had to move the date for that one. We had it scheduled for April, but it conflicted with a Super Dirt Series race, and we're not trying to conflict with anything. We're trying to work with everybody so that everybody can get their races in and everybody can have fun going to the different events. So we moved that one to July 30th, and it's paired up with a late model race that they're having at Canandaigua.
Okay.
They're having a special late model race this year.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of excitement coming out of the Grit Racing Series this year, then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Canandaigua race. Let's see here.
Do you have anything for, say, other local tracks like Woodhall or Black Rock Speedway?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just make sure here. Oh, the NDRL Late Model Series. I apologize. I had to make sure I got the name of that right. I knew it was one of the traveling late model series. That's the one that's at Canandaigua,
okay.
And Ruggles World of Auto Body sponsoring that one. And then, like I said, we're working for other races. We do have a race scheduled for September 26th, part of the Bully Vineyards weekend at Woodhall.
Okay, well, that's a big weekend over there.
Yeah, so
wow.
That's a 30-lapper down there. Obviously, we're working with local sponsors. That's one thing we like to do is work with local sponsors to each track to try to feature them as a primary sponsor. And, it doesn't make sense to, sometimes to bring a sponsor from, say, Canada to Penn Can Speedway.
Yeah,
They like, money's money, but I would rather feature somebody from the southern tier, you know what I mean?
Sure.
That's where they're going to get the business from.
I think it's definitely really good for the local racing and just local business in general to keep everything, not to say that we don't share with our friends to the north, but I think it is really good to keep all of the local companies and local businesses involved in the local racing, as we like to say it.
Yeah, I mean, as a fan sitting in the stands, I would rather hear a sponsorship of Ruggles Auto Body as opposed to anything that would be across the border that we wouldn't be familiar with.
Right. Well, just because of the aspect that it's not, you don't have a chance to make it there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, let's just use a national brand, for example. Like if you use Applebee's, why would it make sense to have Applebee's of Lafargeville sponsor a race at Penn Can?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yep.
You're not going to
Yep.
go there to use that certificate. So that's what we try to do. We try to feature local sponsors, and we're happy to do that. That's why we got Torque Work going to OFC Orange County and Flag to Flag at Utica Rome because they love Utica Rome. They've been there their whole life.
Absolutely.
We also got at the Fonda race, Springfield Boyle. Mike Pornicky, he's grown up at Fonda, is one of his favorite tracks. He's the brother to Brian, who owns Flag to Flag. Those guys do Flag to Flag together. Well, Mike does Springfield Oil. He's an oil distributor. He has many different types of oils. He sponsored the Fonda race, so we were excited about having him on board for that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different things going on. There's a lot of sponsors, a lot of contingency stuff that we've been announcing. We were super proud to become associated with Dig Safely New York. They've been involved with racing through Super Dirt Week, just auto racing at racetracks. They sponsored a Mod Light last year. Larry Bishop's a super nice guy, and he heads up their motorsports division. And he got in touch with us, wanted to talk, and we had a great conversation. And the next thing you know, they were our title sponsor for our series this year. So
that's very good. I'm really glad to hear that. Now, in my interest with you were speaking of the Triple Crown. Give us a little more detail on what the Triple Crown is going to include, and maybe some of the other guys that might be interested to know.
Yeah, absolutely. The Triple Crown is something that we just kind of developed over the course of the last week. I haven't even put the Triple Crown logo out yet.
Okay.
Or mentioned the point setup, but if you go on our website, which is GritRacingSeries.com, there's always stuff being updated on there because I'm always working on stuff with Nick and Dick and trying to get things settled before the season starts, because once the season starts, obviously it's going to be hectic. You know what I mean? So
yep.
In the midst of getting our sponsors like Number One Speed and Lee Gillies Napa, Fox Shocks, Velocita, American Racer's done a lot for us, even though we had an open tire rule. American Racer stepped in and wanted to do a bunch of tire giveaways, and okay, we're not going to stop them. You know,
absolutely not. Yeah.
But the Triple Crown stuff we haven't really announced, so I'm kind of giving you guys a scoop on that one too. It's like I said, it's Utica Rome, and it was hard to pick 3 races, but we wanted to pick races that kind of spread it out geographically. You know what I mean? We didn't want 3 races that were right next to each other.
Correct.
So we went with Utica Rome. Utica Rome doesn't run a sportsman or a crate sportsman division right now.
Mm-hmm.
So having that be a part of a Triple Crown was important to us because it's kind of like a neutral field. You know what I mean? It's kind of like going to the Super Bowl. You're at a neutral field. There's no home field advantage.
Exactly.
So we picked that race for a Triple Crown race. Obviously, we picked Albany-Saratoga because that's going to be one of our bigger races on the schedule this year. It's the most laps. It'll probably end up being the most in purse.
Yep.
And just the Nationals has kind of become one of those races where everybody talks about every year. When's the Nationals? When's the Nationals?
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? So
absolutely.
We're currently developing a brand new look for it, a new title for it. We're not going to necessarily call it 602 Nationals, but we're going to keep the history of the race intact, and we're looking to promote it from a new avenue, but it's going to be at Albany-Saratoga where it started. You know what I mean? That race started in 2008 there with the first running of it. There's a Facebook page we built on it, and there's a whole section on the Grit Racing Series website just about the 602 Nationals. You know what I mean? So that was another part of the Triple Crown. And then our season finale at 5 Mile Point brings us to the southern tier. You know what I mean? So we got, you kind of like your Capital region, your Central New York region. Then we're going to go down to the southern tier to 5 Mile Point on the November 1st. And that for us had to be part of the Triple Crown because that's our season finale.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's part of a huge weekend down there, the Southern Tier weekend, where they crown their ROC modified sportsmen and street stock champions.
Okay.
We're excited to be part of that weekend because they're going to crown. Oh, and they also crown the Empire State Series IMCA. I think I'm saying it right. They crown that champion that weekend. So we're the 5th champion they're going to crown that weekend.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? So to us, that had to be part of the Triple Crown. It just made sense.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? And like I said, those races are worth more points. Now, we have a 3 throwaway rule. I mean, quote-unquote throwaway. Basically, we're going to take a driver's 3 worst finishes and throw them out for them. So 12 out of the 15 races count for your title hopes.
And now a question that I know Clint, he's pointing at me with a finger, and I can feel it. I'm not even looking at him. With the 3 throwaway rule, how will your guys' throwaways work? Can you use no-shows as a throwaway, or does it have to be a show-up to throwaway?
Nope, you can use a no-show or just a bad night. So if you have a race you got to miss because you're having a barbecue with the family on a holiday weekend,
yep.
You got a wedding to go to, or your buddies and you want to go out and have a few cold ones, and you just don't feel like racing the next day, you can use that as a throwaway. We're going to do that automatically for you.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If you don't show up, it's automatically counted as one of your throwaways.
As one of your 3 showaways. Okay.
Right. And then you're going to have, obviously, let's say you go to all 15 races. Your 3 worst finishes, we're going to throw away. Now, here's the key. Those Triple Crown races, fellas, are worth more points than a win for last place. So if you finish 24th place at Albany-Saratoga for the Nationals, you're going to get 75 points. That's more than if you were to win a race at another racetrack. So those Triple Crown races you're not going to want to miss. They are extremely important for point value.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So you're going to want to be at Utica Rome. You're going to want to be at Albany-Saratoga. You're going to want to be at 5 Mile. And we didn't want to – we're not excluding the other tracks that are involved. Obviously, they're all just as important to us.
Of course.
But we wanted to develop something where it's like, all right, we want to have 3 races where they're must-runs that they don't use as a throwaway, and we got to give them some sort of value. So we're currently working and developing a monetary value, maybe $1,000 as a bonus if you can win all 3 of those races.
Wow.
On top of what you get paid to win the race, on top of what you're going to get as contingencies, on top of what you're going to get paid for your points payout.
Wow, that's huge. I mean? That's huge.
Yeah, and for sportsmen, I don't care what anybody says. For a sportsman driver, at the end of the year, if you can win $2,000 to $3,000 for a championship, that's a lot of money.
It is, and I mean I don't know really what I can say other than that than bravo. I mean I can't express it enough that we've got a lot of. It seems like the crate sportsmen, since the start of the crate sportsmen, especially at Canandaigua, at Black Rock, Woodhull, when Woodhull was still running the sportsman, just the sportsman only. The class really took off. They've got big fields every week. It's easier to be competitive than if it were, say, an open motor class, and I really think it's great. I mean, you've got a 15-race schedule. 3 of them you can use as throwaways, so it's not like you have to be at every 15 or all 15 shows if you can't. I mean, that's just great. I mean, I definitely think if anybody has a crate sportsman and they're looking to get out and have a little fun or,
travel a little bit.
Absolutely.
And I mean,
just to throw a couple of things on top of that, I don't mean to interrupt, just to throw a couple
please,
of things
do.
What you're saying. Here's another cool part about our series that we got going for next year. Every race is a minimum of $1,000 to win and at least $100 to take the green. So that's good for a sportsman. That's huge for a sportsman driver who travels to the race. To know that if I qualify, I'm going to at least get 100.
Absolutely.
Now, I had a guy ask me, well, what do I get if I don't qualify? I said, what do you get if you don't win in the playoffs for football? Nothing.
Yeah.
You don't get a trophy for that.
Yeah. I mean,
unfortunately, with all the positive and awesome aspects there are of racing, and I love this sport to death, there are some harsh realities that some people turn a blind eye to, and I'm not one of those people. I'm like, unfortunately, you wouldn't get anything if you don't qualify, but you got to make the race. That's the whole key. You know what I mean? It's survival of the fittest in any series. You know what I mean? We'd like to be able to pay toll money for.
I was going to say toll money's nice, but
yeah.
But and on top of that, there's the contingency prizes that we bring to each track. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Plus the stuff at the end of the year, like Fox Shocks came on board, and they're giving away, through Fastline Performance, they're giving away a set of shocks next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's $1,000 in product.
I was just going to say that. Yep.
That's good.
Henry's is giving away another exhaust. Velocity Raceware is giving away a fire suit. American Racers giving away tires. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different things as far as what you can get, as far as not just monetarily, but product-wise as well.
Now, Rob, before we let you go, you and I and Brad were talking before we came on the show about one of the rules that you changed this year, and I think that's something that maybe we ought to hit on before we let you go, about how if you're a modified driver, you're not allowed to run in the series. Can you elaborate that a little bit?
I can, and I had a funny conversation with a guy who ran modifieds and was like, well, I have the same car as everybody else. Why can't I run? I said, well, why? Let me ask you this. Why are you running in that race? Well, because it's a good paying race. I said, okay, so what you're telling me is it's for the money. Well, how about we let modified drivers run, and no matter where you finish, you only get $300? He said, well, I'm not going to run. I said, okay, that's why we have the rule in place. I said, so basically what we did, last year, I don't have a problem with modified drivers and the talent that they possess. I love the sport, like I said, and trust me, these guys are very talented race car drivers. I'll give you a case in point. Anthony Perego was a house of fire in the New York Auto Parts 55 this year. He was so good with that car, he went to the Gobbler and beat some of the best modified drivers in the Northeast.
Yep.
He is an absolute phenomenal talent, and he belongs racing in a modified now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So he was wheeling a modified and a sportsman last year. And then you had, some other guys like Timmy Sears Jr. I like him. He's a great kid. He's got an unbelievable amount of talent. He's a Super Series sportsman champion. He's won modified races. He was running in the modifieds. And as I stood there watching the Nationals race, as I mentioned to you guys, I saw 4 of the top 5 guys were modified drivers. And I thought to myself, now, I'm a sportsman car owner. You know what I mean? I don't have the money to go into a modified.
Mm-hmm.
If these guys do, why don't they stay with the modified and keep pursuing that dream? You know what I mean? Leave some of these big paying races in this in a sportsman series to the sportsman drivers. So one of my biggest pet peeves, I guess you could say, or topics to tackle was how do we ensure the integrity of a sportsman series is for sportsman race car drivers. There's a lot of talent in the sportsman division, fellas, and some of them are in the same boat. They don't have money to move to the next level, and they're trying to be successful in the sportsman division to earn recognition, to gain sponsorship, to move to that next level. That's what Anthony did.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It didn't just happen overnight for him. That kid was successful for a long time racing a sportsman, and now all of a sudden he's got a great modified ride.
Yeah.
I'm proud of him.
Absolutely.
And I thought to myself, well, we need to ensure the integrity of a sportsman series that's for sportsman drivers. And basically, I didn't want, to be, short and blunt with it, I didn't want modified drivers in it. If you're running a modified, you need to stay in a modified, run that. So, with that being said, we developed a rule that seemed to be the hot button topic for a little while. And it was basically, if you run 8 races in a modified, you're no longer eligible to run in a grid racing series for the season. You lose all your points. You lose whatever contingencies you may have got at the end of the year. Somebody said, well, geez, that seems harsh. Well, why would I give it to you when I could give it to a sportsman guy?
Now,
you know what I mean?
There's
also a double dipping rule that we put in place because we had already heard rumblings from guys that were like, well, what I'll do is just run as many of your races as I can until I hit my 8th modified race. Well, there's a double dipping rule. If there's a modified race and a grit racing series sportsman race the same day, and you enter the modified race, you're no longer eligible to run the sportsman race. And I'll tell you, a majority of the promoters that we've spoken with, that I personally spoke with about it, love the idea. They say there's no place for a modified driver in the sportsman division, and they're happy that someone finally addressed the issue.
Well, we're certainly happy, too. We got the guys that are following the series for the points, and you come up to one of the Triple Crown races where it's the 100 laps, 100-lap race, a lot of contingencies. There's a big money prize on the line, and now, they've got to face,
Brett Hearn, Tim McCready.
For example, you've got to face somebody who's got, unlimited resources, we'll say, per se, for some of these guys that, unlimited talent and unlimited resources. And I think it's really good for the sportsmen. I think it's really going to help the series bring in a lot more guys knowing that, hey, this is, I'm racing the guys that I race every week on a Saturday, and, we're competitive against these guys. So, I think it's really good, and I applaud you, and I thank you guys at the series for really stepping up to the plate and being willing to take that, we'll call it a risk, I'll say, but, it's really good to see that there's people moving forward with local racing and trying to build and make things better than as recent years has proven.
Well, thank you, fellas. I appreciate that. And trust me, it's not an easy thing to turn people away, and I don't like turning people away. I have a tremendous amount of respect for all these guys, especially guys that have reached a successful level in a modified.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But when you're running a modified, you don't need to drop down just for money races in the sportsman. You know what I mean? If you want to run sportsman, move back down. Maybe modified wasn't your thing. You know what I mean? It's unfortunately, it's just one of those things where you got to say, unfortunately, you're not eligible to run. You know what I mean? It's like I said to somebody who said, well, that just doesn't seem fair. I said, okay, well, don't let Kobe Bryant go back and play college ball because he's getting older. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So, it's one of those deals where you just kind of go with it. And so far, we've had a lot of positive, response on it. A lot of the drivers are real happy with that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They want to be able to race their peers in the sportsman division and not against somebody who's got modified experience. Now, somebody said to me, what happens if they got modified experience, but they haven't raced in a while? I said, then you can run. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We're not going to penalize you for what you've done in the past. You know what I mean? I shouldn't say penalize. We're not going to hold it against you for what you may have raced in the past because you're coming back into a sport. I'll give you an example. There's a fellow around here named Randy Hoteling.
Yeah.
Randy's a modified track champion at Albany, at Glen Ridge. He also won modified races in Albany, Saratoga.
Yep.
He said, am I going to be eligible to run this, or am I going to get a hard time because I was a modified driver? I said, dude, you haven't raced in 3 years. I go, you're completely fine.
Yep.
You know what I mean? What we're looking to do is eliminate where guys drop down during the course of the year and try to, pick up some money. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Here's a car owner last year, both Jason Oshino both said the only reason they did it is because nobody said they couldn't.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that was what they were looking to do. It's just, the kid that owned the car is a good kid. He said, I just put Timmy in the car because I knew we could win some money. you know. And
Yep.
Timmy Sears Jr. and I talked at the parts peddler, and he thought it was a good deal. He says, I'm glad you did that. You know, now here's a kid that we're telling you can't run this series because you're a modified driver, and he's like, I'm glad you did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You should do that. It should be for sportsman drivers, and you know what I mean. And then the more feedback, positivity you get from the track promoters and you know, event promoters like Brett Deal, it means a lot to you. You know you're going in the right direction with it. And the most important thing to me was the drivers. I mean, they were all happy with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Except for the ones that are unfortunately getting left out because they have full-time modified rides. But you know,
exactly.
you got to choose. You know what I mean? So.
Yep. Well, I definitely think that, you know, the Dig Safely New York Grid Series is definitely something our fans and everybody listening are going to want to watch and look out for. And, you know, maybe, who knows, maybe the Turn 5 podcast might have to show up at one of these Triple Crown events and, you know, provide some coverage, because I definitely think that it's going to be something interesting to watch, and I'm really looking forward to the upcoming season.
Well, I look forward to seeing you guys, meeting you in person. You know, definitely come on out to one of the races. One of our we got our banquet coming up on February 8th, where we're gonna, you know, we used the banquet to honor our champion last year, Dave Marcuccelli. Did a great job. He won by 1 point over Tyler Dipple. Talk about a points crunch.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he beat Tyler Dipple out by 1 point last season, and we're, you know, obviously we're going to honor our top 5 in points for last year. There's, you know, some nice trophies and stuff like that. Then we got our special awards: Newcomer of the Year, Dedication to Grit, Award of Excellence, which is one of our more prestigious awards. Outstanding Performance, Car Owner of the Year, and then one you guys would be interested in for next year is the Outstanding Coverage Award. You know what I mean? So
okay,
we got some different media partners and stuff. I'll get your logo up on the website, but we have an award that basically it awards different media outlets or writers or whoever we feel, you know what I mean, and that we vote on that covered the series the best. So you guys can make more than a couple.
Well, you know, it's really nice to see, you know, the interaction with the media with a series like that, and everybody here at the Turn 5 Racing Podcast, we really appreciate that. And you know, I definitely think we have potential for you know, a really strong working relationship with the upcoming year. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's not a problem. I don't mind working with the media because I was in the media for 10 years. You know
Absolutely.
What I mean? So Nick and Dick just kind of leave me alone and let me do all the PR I need to do, and I do all the chatting I need to do with the different outlets and stuff, and write the PR, and they just, you know, go ahead, you do a good talk, and you present it well. So
okay. We certainly thank you for coming on to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast tonight and taking time out of your busy schedule. Now, as we do at the end of every interview that we do, we want to give you some time to thank the family, the crews, the sponsors, everybody behind the scenes that helps make the Dig Safely New York Grit Series happen.
Yeah, you know, I got to thank Nick and Dick Stark. They took a chance on me. You know what I mean? They saw a lot of productive things that I had done, and they knew a little bit about the history of what I've done through racing and writing and doing radio and, you know, race directing and things. And, you know, they saw a vision that I had for their series to grow it, and they allowed me to come in and kind of go in that direction. So I really appreciate them for that. You know what I mean? They're decent people, and as long as we keep our you know, our head down and keep looking forward, then I think big things are going to come out of the series. Got to thank, you know, Larry Bishop and Dig Safely New York for coming on board as our primary sponsorship. Like I said earlier, they're good people. You know what I mean? They're just good to work with, and they're excited about our partnership. And I look forward to seeing their truck at some of our shows where they explain all about Dig Safely New York. You know, all our sponsors: flagtoflag.com, Ruggles, Torque, Springfield, Number One Speed, Gillies, Fox Shocks, Henry, Stainless Steel Exhaust, Velocita, GM Performance, American Racer, our media partners, you know, Race Pro Weekly, Doug's Dirt Diary, Race Night Rewind, Sign Action Productions, obviously. Thank you guys for having me on. I'll add you up to our media partners. Contingency sponsors, we got a bunch of those we could thank. Ultra Shield, Capital, Motorsports, Kaiser Wheels, and then Vinny Salerno, great guy to talk with. Look forward to building a relationship with him over the course of the summer. Jackie Brown from Jack's Used Auto Parts, Bulldog Rear Ends, Race Day DJ, Micro Armor Racing, VDL Fuel Systems. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people to thank The easiest way for me to thank them all at one time is to give you the web address, www.gritracingseries.com. Go there, check it out, read all about it. You know, we've got a whole list of things you can read on there. Check us out on Facebook. It's facebook.com/GritRacingSeries. That's where we do a lot of info blasts and stuff like that. And most importantly, come on out to one of the races. Check us out.
Absolutely. I definitely think it's going to be something good. And like you said earlier, with all the races being spread out across the region, you know, you've definitely got a race somewhere in your area that you can get to. And I definitely applaud you guys at the Grit Series for thinking like that and making it as accessible to all the fans as it is.
Well, not a problem. Thanks again for having me, fellas. I'll leave you with this.
Absolutely.
My logic is undeniable.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, Rob, and we look forward to talking to you again here in the future.
Peace out, fellas. Have a good one.
Have a good night. Okay, Turn 5. That was Rob Hazer from the Dig Safely New York Grit Series. A lot of big scoops coming out. You know, we got a nice exclusive out of the Grit Series with the Triple Crown coming. And when we come back to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast, we're going to jump in and talk with Gary Palone, the owner-promoter of the Paradise Speedway, on some upcoming events at his speedway this coming race season. You're listening to Turn 5.
Turn 5 is marketed weekly by Horsepower360.com. At Horsepower360, they know how crucial branding is for your business or product to race fans locally and nationwide. Make the wrong move and damage to your brand can be irreversible. Make the right move with expert staff at Horsepower360, and the dividends can be endless. They also develop and promote race drivers and teams like 410 Sprint Car driver and World of Outlaws driver Ryan Smith and Rob Warco Racing's number 94. Visit them online at www.horsepower360.com. Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. They have the most up-to-date karaoke to make your bar or party a great event. They also have the wedding DJs that will make your wedding reception one that the family will remember forever. Contact them online at www.creeksideentertainmentdj.com or call Stu at 315-481-9700.
Kick off your holiday shopping now at Radio Shack. You'll find low prices on the latest smartphones, tablets, e-readers, plus a huge selection of must-have accessories. Radio Shack also has big savings on RC toys, batteries, plus stocking stuffers like flash drives and memory cards. And don't miss the great deals on portable Bluetooth speakers, top-name headphones, fitness gear, and more. So get a jump on your holiday shopping and start saving today at Radio Shack at 103 Main Street in beautiful downtown Penn. We welcome you back to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. Brad Ovens alongside Clint Miller. And now we're going to throw it over to the Turn 5 hotline with the owner-promoter of the Paradise Speedway, Gary Palone. Gary, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And we wanted to discuss some upcoming changes that were coming forth to the 2014 year. Some transitions and some improvements to the Speedway. Would you care to share?
No problem. Ask away.
Okay. Now, I follow the Speedway on the Facebook with the Facebook page, and I noticed that you released a five race mini series for the 600 micro sprints. Now, how did that mini series come about?
What we wanted to do is we had been approached from another group about joining a tour group, and I put it up to vote with my racers, and they decided that they didn't want to go out on tour. They wanted to do something local, and so that's why we put this together. And what this does is it allows them to stay closer to home and still end up with a real nice payoff at the end of the year.
Absolutely. I was reading the Facebook post, which you can find on the Turn 5 Racing Podcast page. It said the payout for the winner of the 5-race series would pay out $1,500, and then it would step later down from there, correct?
Right, and that's where we're at right now. What we plan on doing is we're going to continue to try to improve on that during the course of the year, and make it as good as we can, possibly get it for the racers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that seems like a really cool deal. Guys that run the 600s will be able to come local, and I know. Based on the Facebook page, there was a number of guys that were already commenting and saying that they're going to be there for sure and they're going to be running. And I know from the last 600, the series race they had there, we were helping Stephen and I were helping with the TV production end of it. And I mean, you guys have always had a good-sized field for the 600 as far as series races go, and even the weekly shows.
Right. On the weekly shows, we were averaging over 20 cars a week, and so it's always been good. The 600 class has always been good with us, and this is only going to make it that much better. And the other main reason for doing a mini-series within our own is that every time you have like one big race a year, it ends up that we send our money to Pennsylvania or Ohio or somewhere else because people come in and cherry pick for one particular big race. And this way, my local people are the ones that are going to be benefiting from the entire program.
Absolutely. And we were just talking with Rob Hazer from the Dig Safely New York Grit Series, and they're doing a similar kind of a similar program with theirs where you have to meet a specific qualification to run the certain events. And I really like the fact that you guys made it a 5-race series. I don't believe it's 5 consecutive races, though, is it? Or is it?
No, it's not.
Okay.
The dates that we've got, in fact, one date has changed. We've got May 3rd, May 31st, June 28th, July 26th, and then the last date is going to be September 6th.
Okay.
And then what we've done is we've set the following Saturday night up as a rain date. So if any one of these 5 races get rained out, we automatically go to the following Saturday night.
Okay. And, I definitely think it's very cool for the local guys. I believe, and it said in the post that you have to make a certain number of events to qualify for the end of the year point fund, correct?
Right. You've got to run at least 4 of the 5 races.
Okay. So we've got that coming up for the 600 micros, which I definitely, I have to applaud you guys at the track. It's definitely nice to see a lot of tracks are starting to take that trend of trying to help out the local guys to keep the big money runners, as we tend to call them, from coming in and, like you said, cherry picking the big money races or being picky on what they want to run.
It's your local weekly racer that is supporting you all year long, and those are the people that we have to depend on, to do our program every week. And without them, you've got nothing. So this was our way of, paying them back for what they're doing for us.
Absolutely. And as I understand, switching over from the 600 micros to the go-kart divisions, we understand you plan to have a meeting with the go-kart drivers this week?
Not this week. It's, let's see, the 26th of this month.
Okay. So January 26th.
Right, January 26th. It's going to be from noon until 2. It's at the Brothers Bar and Restaurant. The number is 2402 Route 96.
Okay.
It's just west of Phelps.
Yep.
And that's where we've been having most of our meetings lately, and it works out good.
Okay.
What we plan on doing there is trying to condense our program somewhat with the go-karts. We need to speed up our program. And what I'd like to do is a similar type thing with one of the classes of go-karts that we're doing with the 600 micros. And so it's a matter of whether I can, convince these guys to, put that kind of a following in and do some work and, get behind it to make it happen.
Okay. Well, that sounds like it's definitely something that the go-kart drivers and our listeners that may be participating in the go-kart series at the Paradise Speedway would want to maybe come out and check out, and, it's worth a stop over to talk to you guys.
So we've got a lot of things to offer, and, of course, this year we got, some new things that we're going to be working on. So, of course, last year was the first year that I ran the track. In the previous 4 years, I had sold the facility, and now that I have it back, we're working real hard to change the program around. And like this coming year, we want to speed up the program, and our goal is to be out by 10 o'clock every Saturday night. And we have a lot of our guys that come, 80 to 100 miles one way. And so if you can get done by 10 o'clock, you can get them home by midnight.
Absolutely.
Where otherwise, if you're running until the wee hours, it's, really makes it a long night.
Absolutely. Now, as far as this upcoming season, are there any, aside from the 5-race mini-series, are there any dates, any big events that might stick out that are either our racing friends or even the fans may be interested in coming over and seeing?
Well, we don't have too many big events set. The one thing we are doing, we're adding the Empire Sport Trucks to the 4-cylinder class. And
wow.
They'll be running. We've currently got 6 cars that are either built or under construction, and so we're hoping to develop that field and go with it. It's the 4-cylinder rear-wheel drives. It's been so long since they've made cars that it's getting really tough to come up with the vehicle to do it with. So the pickups, of course, you can go to,
basically any junkyard and find a salvageable. Yeah.
So that's going to be one of the big changes for the year, and we're going to start out. We'll run them along with our rear-wheel drive cars, and we'll score them separate, of course. But that'll fill up the class, and I think it's a class that'll grow, quite well.
Absolutely, and I know from watching the Thomas Video Smash and Crash that just came out this year, it looks like those the sports trucks are definitely popular out
like
more near the capital region out east. So it's interesting to see them. They're progressively starting to make their way across the state into the area, and I think that'll definitely be something our fans will want to come out and check out.
So it's definitely different, and of course pickups handle a lot different than what a car does. So so it should make some good, exciting racing. Our track is being a quarter mile is ideal for them, and of course we keep the track as smooth as anybody does, and in fact better than most, and so it makes for some real good, exciting racing.
Okay. Well, as far as the upcoming season goes, as far as class-wise, we still having all the same events with obviously we've got the 4 cylinders and the trucks combining, the 600 micros, go-kart classes, everything on the roster staying as it was last year?
Pretty much. The go-karts, of course, we'll make a final decision on, combining classes and whatever we're going to be doing with that at our meeting that we have.
Okay.
But other than that, all the classes will be the same.
Okay.
The one thing we are going to push a lot more on this coming year is our Wednesday night practice sessions that we have. we started to get a lot of fans coming out. The Wednesday night is open to any race vehicle from any track can come, and the racer pays $15, and everybody else is in free.
Okay.
So, like in any given night, you can see everything from go-karts to big block modifieds all in one night.
Yes. I do believe I remember seeing on Chuck Keeping Racing's Facebook page, they had the 360 sprint car there doing some time trialing, doing some dialing in on that. So, yeah.
We get a lot of those guys come. A lot of the 305 sprints, originally, a lot of those drivers were Paradise drivers originally.
Yes.
So they come over to get their cars dialed in, and of course, if you can get your car around Paradise,
yes,
and good, you can go anywhere in the world and do good.
Yes. I think that's definitely something special about the Paradise Speedway that a lot of people probably may not know is that Wednesday practice session and the fact that it's open to anybody that needs to tinker or tune or, make some adjustments or, I think that's really great that you guys offer that and open it up to anybody who's got a race car.
We have a lot of guys that are just getting started. If you've got a dirt sportsman car or a modified, and you need seat time, the average racer on a Wednesday night gets around 100 laps of practice.
Yeah.
And so, you figure how many nights you got to go through your regular racetrack in order to get 100 laps of practice in. It takes quite a while.
It does with a 2 or 3 lap hot lap session. It does. For sure. But, we, Gary, we definitely thank you for taking out the time tonight to stop in and visit with us and give us a few updates here. And I definitely think there's some good things coming out of the Paradise Speedway. And like you guys said, you're in your rebuilding mode now and everything that I can tell. And, I definitely enjoy coming over on a Paradise on a Saturday night and watching the racing. Stephen and I grew up in the go-kart, and Paradise was our Saturday regular. So the track has a lot of history for us as far as personally goes, but still a lot of good racing. And now, it's nice to have that local track where we can see the mini winged warriors, we'll call them, out there competing. And I mean, they put on a really great show on a weekly basis over there.
Okay, well, looking forward to a really good year this year, and so we need some good weather, and we'll be doing it. Absolutely.
And before we let you go, we always want to let anybody that we have on the show, any family or crews, sponsors, anybody you want to thank, we'll leave you open.
I'll leave that open for right now. We've got our employees are our main thing. It's like we've got, I think, some of the best people going, and we're a family racetrack. We're like you can take kids into the pits at our place. We've got everything pretty much designed for a family to have fun.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's all about. If you can't have fun, then you got to go do something else.
Absolutely. You're dead on the money right there. Well, again, we definitely thank you for taking out the time and stopping with us, and we look forward to things coming out of the Paradise Speedway this upcoming season.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, Gary.
Have a good night.
Have a good year. Bye now.
Okay, turn 5. That's Gary Palone from the Paradise Speedway, who is now the owner-promoter. And Clint...
Sounds like he's got some big things in the works.
He does. I do say I have a little bit of a favoritism towards the 600 micro sprints, kind of one of my, all-time leading favorite divisions. But like he said, even he mentioned, we were talking with Rob about the guys coming up through the series. You got the Nick Coopers, you've got the Lil Cobra, you've got a lot of guys, David Ferguson, that came out of the 600 micros that were, they were the top of the field. They were winning series races.
Alicia Ruggles
and Daryl Ruggles, of course. You can't Can't forget that. Darryl being the one of the most recent series winners that I can remember. And, of course, the 5-race mini-series, it seems like a lot of places are going to that kind of mentality that, we're going to try and keep the guys that come in 2 races out of the year to try and steal the big money to kind of spread it out and give it a better chance for the local guys to come in and compete for that, the glory and the money. So I definitely think it's going to be a good time. And like I said, I always enjoy going over to Paradise. You got a lot of good go-kart racing. Steven and I always refer it to Paradise as the super speedway of go-kart racing, because it literally looks like a Daytona race. You line up single file, you get the draft, somebody gets hung out, they go to the back, they work their way up to the front again, and it's really good racing. Yeah,
it is. I took my kids there at the end of the year last year, and they really enjoyed it. And I got one boy who that's one of the big things he wants to do. He wants to race go-karts. He's got a couple years before he's even able to start driving for medical reasons, but he's really excited about it, and I don't have any problem putting him in one.
Absolutely, and like Gary said, it is a big family event over there. You can walk through the pits. I know Steven and I can walk through the pits and talk to people that we haven't probably seen in 5, 10, 15 years, but it is very family-oriented. You've got, the age range for drivers of the go-karts over there range from anywhere from 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, all the way up to the guys that,
the guy, Dave Nielsen.
Dave Nielsen, still running the Yamaha, I believe. He's run probably the last 4 or 5 years consecutively over there. So, it is a really good place. If you've never been to the Paradise Speedway, you can head down 14 out of Geneva, and it's a left-hand turn and right-hand turn. I couldn't tell you
if you're coming off of 14, it's a left-hand turn onto, is it 96?
Not quite. But check it out. Check it out. You can look them up on Facebook at Paradise Speedway on Facebook. All the details, addresses.
It's by Phelps Cement Products.
It is.
You're listening to Turn 5.
Put down that greasy dirt burger and race on over to motorsportsnutrition.com. They fuel race teams and drivers like 410 Sprint Car driver Ryan Smith with healthy Advocare supplements and products. Visit motorsportsnutrition.com. Want to build a successful driver to race team to sponsor relationship? Visit www.horsepower360.com and consult with their expert staff that is trusted by 410 Sprint Car and World of Outlaws driver Ryan Smith. Horsepower360.com.
Hey Brad, where do you go for your NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, short track, dirt, and World of Outlaws coverage?
I go to racechaseronline.com.
Aren't they also at Speed 77 Radio on live stream?
Yeah, they've got the Motorsports Madness Report on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock and the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Join in on the fun at racechaseronline.com and see them on Facebook. Search Race Chaser Online. Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. They have the most up-to-date karaoke to make your bar or party a great event. They also have the wedding DJs that will make your wedding reception one that the family will remember forever. Contact them online at www.creeksideentertainmentdj.com or call Stu at 315-481-9700.
Welcome back to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. Brad Ovens, again, alongside Clint Miller.
B-Rad.
Clint, what a night.
Oh, man.
What a night.
Rob Hazer, we had Rob Hazer from the Grit Series on. What a great interview. And he's got such big things going on for that series. It's just, man, it's growing. It's a dirt car baby, basically.
It is. And like he was saying, basically, their series isn't much more than what, basically what like the dirt series is, just a little easier on the drivers, a little more affordable, keeping it more local.
Yeah, local rules.
Local rules.
So you don't have to go out and buy new tires.
Open tire rule, so you don't have to buy specific tires just for that one series. I mean, you should basically be able to take your crate sportsman from any track that you run at, and you're eligible to run with this grit series, which is just phenomenal. And of course, I mean, the breaking news. I mean, we've got the exclusive with the grit series with the Triple Crown. I mean, that's just phenomenal. 100-lap sportsman race, big prize money, a lot of contingency prizes, which, you know, obviously, I mean, the big money attracts the guys, but like we've talked to some of the other racers, you know, it's a lot of the contingencies that, you know, there's some guys that haven't had to, you know, build a new rear end, buy a new rear end, have a motor refresh, shocks. They don't have to buy shocks because at the end of the year, the series that they follow has the contingency with the, you know, the guys like the Fox Racing shocks and the Bulldogs. I believe it was Bulldog rear ends.
Yep.
And, you know, just stuff like that. You
American Racers giving tires away.
American Racer giving tires, you know. I mean, that's really big for the series, being that they have an open tire rule. You know, American Racer was willing to step up and, you know, give them tire giveaways, even though they're not the primary, you know, tire user of the series, you know, and it's really great to see. And like Rob was saying, you know, they're spreading it out across the state. So, you know, if you're out towards Albany way, you've got races you can see. If you're down Southern Tier, you've got races you can see. You know, out Central New York here, I believe
Canandaigua's got a big show.
Canandaigua's got a good show. You know, there's a lot of.
Glen Ridge has got 3.
Glen Ridge has 3. That's insane.
Yeah,
and of course, you can't forget the Triple Crown.
Albany, Saratoga
with a 100-lap race. The 100-lap race, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
That is, for a sportsman race, that is huge.
You know, Black Rock had the 200-lapper last year.
Yep, they did.
Know, and now we've got and it's a mid-season one. Are they ending the season at Albany, Saratoga?
No, the Triple Crown's going to end at the 5 Mile Point.
Okay.
With the crowning of their champion, and they're actually going to be the 5th champion crowned at 5 Mile Point that weekend. I believe he said it was November 1st.
That's right. That's right.
So, yeah, I mean, the Triple Crown, and of course, it's double points. So if you go to a grit show, to one of the Triple Crown shows, and you qualify for the race and you finish in last place for the race, you're going to be earning more points for last place in one of the Triple Crowns than you would for a regular series win in the series. Plus all the money, the points money, the lap money, the contingency prizes, of course. I mean, that's really big. And, of course, the rule change for this year, as Rob mentioned, in order to qualify to run the grit series, you have to be a sportsman driver.
Right.
You can't double dip, run double duty in a modified and a sportsman for that race, or you disqualify yourself for the grit series.
Or if you run 8 modified races in a year, you disqualify yourself.
8 modified races in a season, you disqualify yourself from the grit series, forfeit all your points and chances for the points money. And then they're doing the throwaway rule, which I think is great. It's going to help a lot of guys going into it. You know, you can be a no-show throwaway. If you're going to run the series, 15 race series, and you decide you're only going to run 12 of them, they're going to throw away your worst finishes. So if you're a no-show to any of the races, that's automatically one of your throwaways until you've got your 3 throwaways. Or if you run all 15 shows, you're going to throw away your 3 worst finishes. So I think that's good to know going into the series.
Right.
And like Rob was saying, you know, if you ran a modified, you were a big contender in the modifieds 3, 2, you know, even a year ago, last year, you were a big contender in the modified, and you're going to step down out of the modified for whatever reason and go back to the sportsman division, you're eligible to run the series. You know, they're not gonna exclude you out of the series because of your past. You know, it's more currently the current season that we're in. If you run more than 8 races, or if you double dip, you disqualify yourself for that particular race. And I really applaud the guys at the Grit Series for coming up and stepping up and and coming up with that rule to really help out the guys.
Yeah, it's something in like I talked with Rob off air, and it's something that we would kind of like to see NASCAR do.
Absolutely.
Because these young guys that come in, Kyle Busch, winningest driver in the Truck Series, almost the winningest driver in the Nationwide Series, and won so many Cup races. I know that he makes other guys better, driving in that class. But having said that, he's taking a ride from a young kid that needs to prove himself.
Absolutely.
And you can't. And with money issues that NASCAR's having, you're kind of tying the hands of these guys that, well, yeah, you can come drive for me, but you got to bring money with you.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, the way that the economy and the racing is gone, it's the guy who's got the money behind him is going to be the guy that's got the steering wheel in the hands.
Yep.
So, I really, like I said, I can't thank them enough. I can't applaud them enough.
I applaud Rob.
Absolutely. And, check them out at the gritracingseries.com.
Yep.
Check out the full schedule. Pick a track, pick a couple local tracks to go check them out. Great.
Got a Facebook page.
Great series. They've got a Facebook page. That's right. And on the Grit Racing Series page, you can actually check out, like Rob was saying, you can check out the list of guys that drivers that drivers that have committed to at least half of the series already. So they're really shaping up to be a top of the line. Right up there with the Dirt Series.
Yep, agreed.
So, well, all in all, I definitely think it's going to be something 2014 shaping up, to be a one whale of a show.
Yep, we get a little more information every week when we come here because it's getting closer to the season, and it kind of sounds like we're working on something with Rob to help promote the Grit Series.
Absolutely,
we're going to be a little hush hush on that. We're going to keep you on the fence on that one until we have more info, but.
And I think it'll be something good to come out of it, and something I think our fans and all the fans of racing can look forward to. And I want to send out a special request to all of our drivers, friends, fans. I know there's a lot of guys that are they're right about probably they're probably starting to be, right in the midst of putting cars together, rebuilding, revamping, new sheet metal, any of the drivers that are listening, please go ahead, go to Facebook, go to Turn 5 Racing podcast on Facebook, share pictures, post status updates with how the car's coming. Feel free to post pictures. We'll reboost them, put the pictures back through onto the main page, and, we're interested to see how everything's doing. Feel free to stop in, give us some status updates on how the build's going, and we look forward to coming into the 2014 season.
We haven't started on the Double Deuce Coupe yet.
No, when how long does it take you guys to get the Double Deuce ready?
Well, we're actually running a different car this year, so we're going to have to kind of take it apart before we put it back together. But he's been vacationing in Florida, so apparently he thinks that that's better than working on race cars, whatever. But, he just got home Sunday, and he's got to talk with Jared Hill and get the car up to the shop, and so we can start tearing it apart.
Well, very good. Well, from everybody here at the Turn 5 Racing Podcast, I want to thank our guest again, Rob Hazer with the Dig Safely New York Grit Series. Check them out at gritracingseries.com. Check out all their cool stuff, all their sponsors, media relations. Gary Palone, I got to thank Gary from the Paradise Speedway, the owner-promoter. A lot of good things coming out for the big shows, for the 5-race miniseries, for the 600 micros. Go-karts are going to be back in weekly competition. 4-cylinders teaming up with the Empire Trucks.
Sport Trucks.
Empire Sport Trucks. That'll be an interesting show to go watch. Something new in the area. And, again, I got to thank our sponsors that make the Turn 5 Racing Podcast possible. And Christy Cottrell with motorsportsnutrition.com, for all of your racing supplements needs. Visit her at motorsportsnutrition.com. And again, Christy Cottrell with horsepower360.com for all of your marketing and PR needs in the racing industry, as well as Penyan Electronics, Creekside Entertainment, Race Chaser Online, and Speed 77 Radio. On behalf of Turn 5 Racing, I'm Brad Evans.
I'm Clint Miller.
And thanks for listening, and race fans, remember to check it before you wreck it.
Good night, everybody.